Please join me in giving a warm Johnson & Wales University to Dr. Danny Meyer. Thank you so much, all of you. President Schneider, President Bowen, trustees, faculty, honored graduates, parents, and friends, and my family, Audrey, Charles, Gretchen, and Peyton. What a privilege and honor it is for me to address you today on the occasion of your graduation from Johnson & Wales. I'm always amused when I meet a recent graduate who asks me for career advice now that they are in the so-called real world. It's as if everything until this point in some way has not been real. To the contrary, the real world is the one you've always lived in, and the one you will continue to live in for your entire future life. If you and I had lived in the same community growing up, we would have experienced the same weather, we would have been impacted by the same economy, been led by the same politicians, rooted for and against the same sports teams, and had our equal and requisite shares of good fortune and adversity. We would have had our own personal opportunities to love and be loved by our families and friends. And all these things are real, and they're no different today just because you've now graduated than they have been your whole life. You've spent your entire life learning to take responsibility for yourself and for others, and that will continue. You've already learned to experience the pressure of deadlines, and there will be many more of those, trust me. You already know that hard work and preparation has a tendency to yield better results at whatever you're pursuing. And no surprise, that remains a really good strategy for success. While you may not ever have taken full responsibility for earning a living and providing for other people, I'll bet you already know what it means to make the commitment of exchanging your time and talent for an income. And I'm confident you've already learned that when someone else, or even an entire team, is depending upon you for their well-being and success, you had better step up and deliver what you said you would and to the greatest of your abilities. There are a few qualities that supersede reliability and accountability. When the people in your life know that your word and your deeds are golden, both you and they will fly far and high. Of course, I acknowledge that you're embarking upon a new, exciting, and somewhat untested chapter in your already real life. You'll be flying solo without the day-to-day counsel of your teachers and co-students, maybe for the first time. And many of you will be living apart from the home you grew up in, perhaps in a city far away from where you were born. You might even be taking on financial responsibilities and challenges beyond those you've already encountered. But the primary thing that has really changed is that the choices you make from this moment forward will have much larger consequences, both for you and for the people who are part of your life. You've already made one big choice, which has set you down a path in the wonderful hospitality and culinary world. Now, this may come as a surprise, but I want you to remain open to the notion that you may one day discover that what was an interest at one point in your life when you enrolled at Johnson & Wales may not always light your fire. No one can ever take away from you the superb education you've gotten here, but only you can determine where you really want to take it today and tomorrow. Just as few people make all of their final life choices about friends and loved ones and careers at a very young age, you may just wake up one day and find that what once seemed like the right profession for you might just not be. Now take this the right way. In no way am I suggesting or hoping that you do a U-turn from all that you've accomplished to get to this point today. But a big part of your responsibility, if you do choose to turn your extraordinary education into a fulfilling hospitality career, is that you constantly shower others with the kind of positive energy for this profession that only someone with a real passion for it can do with any credibility. The culinary and hospitality world is led at its highest levels by people who thrive most on providing pleasure for others. Those people live for the opportunity to share their enthusiasm for what they love doing so well. This is not a business in which you can simply go through the motions and phone it in. It's a field in which you are constantly feeding people who have an insatiable appetite for your knowledge, your food, your caring, your disciplines, your hugs, your laughter, your passions, and most of all, your support. Hospitality is a team sport, and it takes enormous humility and lots of mutual respect and trust among team members if it's ever going to work. It's easy to understand why this profession is not for everyone, and frankly, why should it be? Not everyone should or does truly care about making others happy. Not everyone truly lives for the opportunity to do thoughtful things for others, especially when the world is full of very difficult others. And not everyone should or does care deeply about the subjects of food and drink. Not everyone should or does have the stamina and competitive drive it will take to stay on top in a business whose relatively thin profit margins are challenged daily by competitors who would love to eat you for lunch and who will flatter you by copying your every innovation. But now I'm going to turn the tables and tell you why you just might have made the most amazing career choice in the world. I think I did, and it all started with knowing myself. I graduated from Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut with a degree in political science and with a minor in English. I was fairly certain that I would pursue a career either in law, the better to pursue my lifelong interest in politics and current events. I also reasoned, hedging my bets, that my English degree would serve me well if I chose instead to go to journalism school, another way to immerse myself in current events if law and politics ended up not being my career choice. But soon after I graduated from Trinity, I visited some journalism schools, and because the passion just was not there to become a reporter, I never even bothered applying to journalism school. A few years later, having made some decent money and earned some very important self-confidence as a salesman, I made another choice, this time to take a preparatory class for the LSATs. I had remained interested in politics, and becoming a lawyer was the only traditional way I knew of getting there. Literally, on the eve of taking my LSATs, while dining in an Italian restaurant in Manhattan along with some close relatives, I got into a very heated discussion with my uncle, who challenged me to tell him why I was considering going to law school when not once in my life had I ever even expressed an interest in law. I explained that I loved politics and that I didn't know of any other way to get there. My uncle laughed at me and asked if I had any idea how criminal it would be to waste so much precious time of my life pursuing something for which I had no passion, even if I hoped it might lead to something I thought would be interesting. I was 25 at the time, and his notion of wasting time did not fully resonate with me. Back then, I thought I had all the time in the world. Why don't you just go into the business you've been talking about your whole life, he asked me. I had no idea what he meant. All I've ever heard you talk about is food and restaurants, he said. I don't even think I've seen anyone's eyes light up the way yours do when you talk about food. I looked at him in disbelief. He had shaken me off the wrong path, the expected path, and onto another one I had never even allowed myself to contemplate. Relaxed and relieved, I took the LSATs the next morning, did reasonably well on them, and then never even bothered applying to one law school. Now you have to understand that unlike today, where hospitality has become a far more fully honored and respected profession, in the early 1980s, it was not considered typical to parlay a liberal arts degree in political science into becoming a restaurateur. In fact, it was looked down upon. Sadly, too many in our profession back then ran somewhat questionable operations, keeping 2 sets of books, accepting kickback commissions from their suppliers, garnishing gratuities from their waiters, offering no health insurance to their employees, all things which added up to a very unfortunate reputation for our entire industry. I had to overcome some tough conversations with my parents, who, while supportive, really challenged me to think carefully about my choice to enter the restaurant business. but it would have been impossible for them to talk me out of my passion. When you truly have a passion, it's a lot like having a really bad mosquito bite. You can try to avoid scratching it, but it's no use. The itch is so bad, you just have to go for it. I truly hope that you have that itch for our incredible industry, because if you do, we desperately need you. While there are more really good cooks in the world today than ever, thanks in large part to Johnson & Wales, the number of really talented cooks who have an equally strong gift for hospitality is a much smaller subset. To the degree that I've had any success in this business, it's because I've insisted that hospitality, the way we make other people feel, is everyone's job, no matter where in the business they work. It's the job of the line cook, the bartender, the dishwasher, the waiter, the pastry chef, the reservationist, the sommelier, the bookkeeper, the prep cook, the office manager, the coat checker, the florist, everyone. Hospitality is a team sport. When any one individual is in a hospitality slump, the whole team goes on a losing streak. In the old days, people assumed that the dining room was for hospitality and the kitchen was for cooking. That's hogwash. Hospitality, which is the practice of being on someone else's side, is what it's all about. You can cook the exact same meal in two different restaurants, one which treats its staff members, guests, community, suppliers, and investors with extraordinary hospitality, and the other which doesn't. And I can guarantee you that the exact same plate of food you've cooked will taste entirely differently in each of those two restaurants, even though the exact same amount of effort went into cooking it at each establishment. When you graduate, please make it your business to pursue being a host as well as being a cook. Show everyone you work with that the acts of thoughtfulness are just as potent an ingredient in whether someone will enjoy your cooking as anything else you could possibly add to the recipe. Hospitality is humble. It is putting your needs aside while taking care of others. Hospitality is as confident as a hug. You know that by giving one, you will get one back. Among the choices you can make, choose to work in an establishment that is committed to treating its employees and its community as well as it treats its guests, and become part of that uplifting relationship building energy. Choose to view hospitality as a team sport. Understand that it takes all of us, not just the owner or the chef or the general manager, to create a fulfilling hospitality experience. More than ever, your team will need to rely on you to do what you say you'll do, and to do it in a spirit of camaraderie and fun. Honor your commitments always, so that people can trust that they can count on you. No matter how you're tested, always choose integrity. Integrity is more than honesty. Integrity is making the right choice, even when making that choice is either inconvenient or not in your own self-interest. Go slowly. It's natural to want to conquer the world now that you've conquered this school, but it's neither necessary nor possible. Trust me when I tell you that the career that you have chosen is a bit of a marathon. A measured pace will win this race. School is over, but the learning continues apace. No one expects or even wants you to go too quickly. And finally, choose to profit from your mistakes and know that you will make them every single day. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is that the road to success is paved with mistakes well handled. We human beings are proficient mistake makers. By being accountable and learning from each mistake you make, you can often find an imaginative way to end up in a better position than you would have if you had not made the mistake in the first place. Trust me on that one, I've had lots of experience. Congratulations to each and every one of you for your choice to complete such an outstanding program. What you've learned from Johnson & Wales and the support and friendships you have given one another along the way will stand you in very, very good stead as you launch your career in this thrilling profession. Welcome home to the real world.